Oh, look at this guy. He's lit the incense. He must be really spiritual. I should listen to this guy. Midnight. Nothing spiritual about it. I just like the smell. So, third attempt at making this video. First time I went for about 18 minutes and then just stopped the thing mid-flow because I didn't like it. Second time my battery ran out, so third time running. It's been on my mind to talk a little bit about ambition and the search for meaning and significance in life through ambition. You know, we all know the rat race, you know, getting a career, trying to advance in that career, more power, more prestige, more money, more respect. And where does it end? What's it for? Why do people follow that kind of course in life? So, if that's you, there's a quick antidote to that, and it is simply to remind yourself, hey, I'm going to die. That's it. You're going to die one day. So think about, you know, the thing is going and going and going, you know, where to? It's going to your death. You've got time, but time ultimately is going to kill you. So if your idea of finding purpose is connected to time, forget about it. Because you know where this ends. This doesn't work out. Right? This does not work out if you're thinking about it in terms of time. So, you know, I can get infected by this sort of thing as well, and have done in the past. You know, I've got this whole spirituality thing going here, and you know, there's a YouTube following of 9,000 people now, and I've got this book coming out next year. And all of this happened very naturally. I didn't go looking for people to watch me, really. I've never said, hey everybody, you know, like, comment and subscribe. I've never done that. And that's okay if people want to do that, but I've never done that. And even the book, it was just a labour of love. It wasn't something that I wrote thinking, oh, everybody's going to love me. You know, it wasn't like that at all. It was just something I wanted to get out of myself. And I described it as a love letter to the person I used to be, with the idea that other people are probably just as confused as I was about life. So that's the book I Universe. It's going to come out one of these days. It's still with the publisher and the contract. It's all still there in place. Hopefully it'll come out in 2017. But, you know, I've been hoping that that will provide some opportunities for me to expand on this and maybe get into some kind of public speaking roles here and there. And that's fine as far as it goes. It's fine for me to have an interest in that. But I found occasionally myself slipping into thinking of it as a kind of ambition, like, this is what I have to do. I must do this. I must become this sort of spiritual teacher who has like a whole auditorium in front of him. You know, and you know, the truth of it is, it's fine if that happens, and it's fine if that doesn't happen. But it's not a thing I have to do. My life has significance whether that happens or it doesn't. That's the key thing. I'm still going to die, you know. In 200 years' time, nobody's going to know my name. Realistically speaking, right? I know there's a few people who are over 200 years old and we do know their names. You know, everybody knows Galileo, Isaac Newton, Copernicus and whatnot. But who am I kidding, right? Nobody's going to know my name in 200 years. In 100 years. 50 years, maybe. So I'm kind of like saying, oh, nothing really matters. Well, in terms of time, that's true. If your idea about purpose is always to do with what's coming in time, then yeah, because what's coming is not just your death, but the death of the sun, which will take the earth with it, and the heat death of the universe itself. So time is not going to offer any kind of an answer to anything. So let's look deeply into the nature of time and see what we can find out. Okay? Now, I've attempted this in previous videos and I've never really been satisfied with what I've said. And one of those videos I even had to take down recently. So I'm going to try again to talk about the nature of time and see how we can connect that to our sense of purpose and our feelings about ambition and what we should be doing with our lives. Right, here goes. There's no such thing as time. Okay? Can I prove that? Well, I can show you that this is the idea that makes the most sense. When we think of time as a real thing, as a kind of dimension of the universe, we're imagining that all the separate moments of our lives from our past are still somehow there. They exist. They don't exist in what you tend to call the present, the now, but they still exist. And when you have memories, you're pulling something out of the past into the present in a kind of, you're pulling a ghost of that, an image from that repository into the present so that you can enjoy a memory again, and then off it goes back to where it came from. Here's the thing. The past is gone. The so-called past is so profoundly gone that it does not exist. To state it very scientifically, it is ontologically not real. The thing that is real is the present, and it's all you've ever known, right? If you consult any memory, you can see that the person in that memory is having an experience of the present, right? You can't have that experience, but you can see that the memory relates to something that was experienced as the present, right? And you're in the present now. And where does the memory exist? The memory exists in the present. You can only access it in the present, replay it in the present. And it happened in the present. So the only place that this big film reel of time actually exists is in a kind of storage compartment in the brain that we call memory. And we only think that time has a tangible existence because the brain functions as a recording device. But all the recordings are done in the present. They're retained in the present and they're recalled in the present. The nature of time is this. It's always the present, and the present is always changing. When it changes, the present that was is utterly lost. There is no such thing as it anymore because reality has changed into another shape. But it's always the present. You don't actually need a dimension called time. And I know there is mathematics that relies upon this, but that still doesn't mean that there's an actual real dimension called time. I mean, Einstein's relativity involves time. We know, for instance, that if you could go out into deep space, if you could start off on Earth, right, there's two people, and you set your clocks exactly the same, and you send one person off with one clock into deep space at high acceleration, and they come back later, well, they're going to come back slightly younger than the people who stayed on Earth, and the clocks are going to register a different time. So it looks like there's actual time travel going on, and it looks like time runs at different speeds. But not really. Not really. it's still a case of every experience of the astronaut and the person on the ground is an experience of the present moment. If the person on the ground were somehow tangibly connected to the experience of the astronaut, then it would seem as if the astronaut is going in slow motion. And it would seem to the astronaut as if the person on the ground is in fast motion. But it would all work itself out. Everything was still experienced as now. Yeah? I'm getting a little more complicated than I wanted to. There's no past, there's no future, there's just now. And the brain's ability to record events to make us think that there was a past. And the brain's ability to imagine and to predict a possible future makes us think that the future exists as a kind of fabric along with the past. But none of that is actually real. All you've ever known is the present moment, your whole life. That's all I know right now. Reality just consists of this. And as the present moment continues its flux, it's going to take a different shape. And that's all there is to it. It's so simple, but when it hits home, at least for me, when that hit home the first time, that was like, whoa! I've always just been right here, right now, in this moment. I was thinking about my childhood, you see, and I realized that my childhood was this moment, the same moment. It had always been the same. It was a profound sense of being grounded in eternity, in the center of eternity, in the only moment that was actually ever real, fully grounded in the present. And I think I experienced maybe a ghosting of that a little bit at certain moments in my life, where you allow yourself to relax enough that you just look around you and fully appreciate the present moment that you're in, without wallowing in nostalgia about the past, or without fretting or expecting and thinking about the future. You're just allowing yourself to be right here, right now, enjoying the moment, as the saying goes. That's something like the feeling I got. And it wasn't a mystical experience. I want to be very clear on that. And it wasn't what you'd call a spiritual awakening. I don't really believe in that concept. It was really just noticing something that I'd been overlooking my whole life, and it blew my mind. I'd been overlooking the simple fact of experience, that it's always now. And I can't get away from now. So does this really change anything in terms of, I am still going to die, right? To say this without using the word time, and without thinking of it as a fabric with all the events stored in it, the now is going to continue changing. The present moment is going to continue its movement until finally there's going to be a present that does not involve me. I will be dead. Right? So has anything really changed there? It has, if you can also connect this to a much deeper appreciation of consciousness. So it's like, our natural intuition about time is totally wrong because of the way the brain functions. Our natural appreciation of consciousness is also wrong. We tend to think there's an actual self sitting here in the head, or that this action figure, to coin a term, is the real you. And we fail to see that everything really just exists as a continuity with everything else. And there's numerous arguments I could talk about to really illustrate this, but the one that I tend to like is just the observation that the blood circulating through my veins is no different in principle from the air coming in and out of my lungs. The atmosphere, the trees that provide the air, my body, everything in it, the sun shining upon the planet, is all operating as a single continuity that you can't separate anything out of. I mean, if I take a human being and drop him 2 light years off the coast of Alpha Centauri, in deep space, I won't survive for a second, because I was utterly dependent upon the atmosphere of this planet, which is utterly dependent upon the sun, and the sun is in its orbit around, the spiral arm of the Milky Way. It all works together as a unity, right down to the cells of your body. We tend to use the expression, I came into this world, and that's a false expression. You didn't come into this world. You came out of your mother. There was sex between mother and father, which produced a chemical reaction, which changed something inside the mother, and you grew out of that change. But all the material that eventually became the thing you call you was all there. It was all there already. There wasn't a moment where there was boom, and there was a you. And human beings came out of the earth. So we are the earth. I can't really separate myself from my own mother and father because I came out of them. They can't separate themselves from who they came out of. Everything acts as a continuity with everything else. There's never any separation. But it really takes a lot of thinking to wrap your mind around that. Ultimately, all that's going on here with consciousness is the universe focusing itself into a state of awareness that feels separate from everything else around it. But it's not really separate, it just feels that way. It has to feel that way or there wouldn't be any consciousness. Because there has to be consciousness of something. There can't be a subject without an object, But the subject and the object are really one. They're two parts of one process. Consciousness is not an entity sitting here. It's a doing, not a being. Think of it more like a verb than a noun, and it might make sense to you. So yes, the action figure here is going to die. This guy, this fool, with all the junk flowing around his head, all those memories, this half-dysfunctional personality, that's all going to go. That's absolutely fine. That's supposed to happen. But I am consciousness. And consciousness is peering out of all the other action figures. And that's also me. That's the true self. You don't need to pin it down as a specific entity. You are everything. Right? You are everything existing in an eternal present moment. So since time kills everything, ultimately, right? The meaning of life cannot be attached to time because we already know where that goes. So whatever meaning you attach to your life, it has to be connected to right now, to the only moment that is actually real, right now. If you can't find the meaning of life in your direct experience right now, you are never going to find it anywhere else. Because this is all you've got. Yeah? It doesn't consist in spending 20 years studying hard so that you finally get something. It just takes you to stop overlooking the ordinary facts of experience. That you are consciousness experiencing the present moment. It's what you knew when you were a little kid, before there was any language, right? There was you just gobbled up this wonderful experience, which was a total mystery. And it remains a total mystery. Again, it's another point of misdirection that we think there's a big answer out there somewhere. And somebody has it, and we've got to find the special person who has the answer. No. You knew everything you needed to know about the meaning of life when you were a young child. It was obvious. You just were here to play. And that's it. So whatever ambitions I have, I better not be following those out of some idea that I can't find meaning in my life right now, and it will only have meaning if I do this other thing. No. You're going to die, so stop looking to time for meaning. There's nothing more to do than just to play with life in the present moment. To do whatever you want to do with it right now. For the value that exists in the present moment. The beautiful transient value in knowing that nothing lasts, but playing with it anyway. In the same way, I've used this illustration before, in the same way that a kid will build a sandcastle on a beach, and he's not thinking about the fact that he can't take it home with him in the car. And he's not thinking about the fact that the tide is going to come and wash it away. He just wants to have this experience right now, and when now changes, he's happy to let that go and have other experiences. You see? That's how it works. I'm doing this right now because I want to. Because I wanted to share what I was thinking about. Later I'm going to do something else. I think I'm going to be watching the latest episode of The Walking Dead. Okay? Not probably a great way to spend my time, but what the heck, you know? I've got a keyboard sitting over there, and at some point I'll turn it on and I'll have a little play with some tunes that are going through my head. Yeah? Because I want to, because I enjoy it, because that's what I want to do in the now. And it's okay to have ambitions too. When I was younger, I knew I wanted a career in computers, so I put myself through university, finally ended up in a job that I liked, and I've been in that job almost 17 years now, and I still like it, and I feel lucky, and that's good. I didn't do that because I needed to have meaning in my life, ultimate meaning. I did it because I wanted my life to take a certain shape in the long term, and I'm glad I did. So that was a sensible kind of ambition. But there's no opportunity for promotion in my job, and that's absolutely fine too, because I've arrived at the place I was striving to get to. You see? It's all about shaping the now. If you have a long-term ambition, right, it needs to be about shaping the now into the shape you want it to be so that you can enjoy it now. Yeah? It can't be always about looking ahead. Okay, I've got that done now. What's next? Okay, I've got that done. What's next? Climb, 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 climb. Uh-oh, I'm going to die. Yeah? You see what I mean? Death isn't the big bogey, really. You know, it's not. It's a perfectly natural process that everybody goes through. But if you have spent your whole life feeding your ego, thinking that you're this separate thing that has to get one up on the universe and get one up on everybody around you and compete and all the rest of that, so that you can feel that you really are somebody, death is going to be pretty darn scary for you, because you'll have to realize that everything you built is about to come crashing down. But if you spent your life just enjoying the now, yeah, death is going to be a bit of a drag, because nobody likes to die. You know, the organism has very natural survival impulses that are supposed to be there. But I think, you know, you just get to the point really then where you got nothing to lose. But you never really had anything to lose anyway, that's the thing. So it's better to live your life with this awareness that everything is transient, fleeting, passing, and to find the actual beauty in that, rather than seeing it as a horrible tragedy, rather than holding your life really tightly, like it's this thing you can somehow make last, when you can't. Yeah? I like talking about this, you know. I wish I could live it as vividly as I'm talking about it right now. But I guess that's the challenge for me as well as you. Take care, folks.